ईशावतारं परमेशमिड्यं तं रामकृष्णं शिरसा नमामः. Namaste and welcome to this fourth or fifth session in the series Guided Meditation for Beginners, wherein we are trying to take you through this process of meditation repeatedly until it becomes very natural and automatic for you. And in between we will take up one step or one subject with some practical relevance that will make the idea clear to us to why we do it and how we do it. So let us go through our beginning meditation session. I hope you are nicely seated at home in your meditation seat. So let us meditate. Sit upright, keeping your back, neck and head in a relaxed upright position. Focus on your breath. Breathe in and out in a deep rhythmic way, repeating the universal sound Om as you inhale and exhale. Do it for 3 times. Let us pray for ourselves and for everyone. May the Supreme Divine Being who dwells in the heart of all beings and throughout the universe attract and uplift our minds from this gross physical world to the spiritual dimension of our being. May He bless all beings so that all may seek for peace, knowledge, devotion. May your prayers go out in all directions for the well-being of every creature in this universe. Send out your thoughts to your right. Visualize them going out forever. To your left, in front of you, behind you, above, below, and in all directions. With you as the center, radiate these holy thoughts for the welfare of all beings throughout the universe. Now withdraw your mind from the external world and focus it in the center of your heart. Therein, visualize a beautiful lotus, fully bloomed, full of freshness and fragrance and beauty. In the center of that lotus, visualize a flame, still like a lamp kept in a windless place, radiating its effulgence in all directions, filling every corner of your mind with its light, every cell of your body with its effulgence. You may replace that flame with any divine form of your choice. And visualize that the light emanating from this divine form is the light of spiritual knowledge that dispels the darkness of ignorance. It's a light of holiness and purity that fills your whole being with a sense of holiness and purity. is the light of supreme peace that fills you with serenity and tranquility. It's a light of bliss that fills you with joy. It's the source of all excellences. That Supreme Being is our soul of our souls, the Paramatman. Visualize Him seated therein, full of peace, eager to bless and grace you with divine knowledge and all divine excellences. Focus your whole mind on the divine form, and you may repeat the mantra that has been given by your Guru if you are initiated, or the Shabda Brahman Om. And if you are visualizing the form of Shri Ramakrishna, you may use the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaaya Namah. That is your choice. Connect yourself to the divine with an attitude of surrender and prayerfulness, and focus your whole mind on the divine form and the repetition of the mantra. Wherever the mind wanders away, keep an eye on that mind and bring it back to that contemplation. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. So at the end of your meditations, you will offer the fruits of your spiritual practice to the divine that dwells in your own heart. That is how you will conclude your meditation. And normally, you should not abruptly stand up and get up and leave the seat of your meditation. Try to soak in and feel that divine presence in you, and that hold on to that presence as you go around your daily activities, feeling that you are under the watchful supervision, protection and guidance of the divine, ever ready to protect you and guide you and help you as and when you need. So, morning and evening, in this way, we try to give ourselves or convert this human body into a temple and install the divine and worship him through the process of divine contemplation or meditation. Now, in the last 3 sessions, we have discussed the subjects of asana, the posture that we should have. We discussed about how we should breathe, importance of regular, deep, rhythmic breathing. And we also discussed why we should pray and how we should pray, not only for ourselves, but for all beings, including those whom we love and like, and also with whom we are not so happy and friendly with, but we should also pray for them. You'll find that that will give you your own peace of mind, and they will not tend to disturb you so much. Now, in this meditation technique that we are teaching you as a beginner's one, this is a very simple form. This comes basically from the technique taught as in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, the Ashtanga Yoga, 8 steps of yoga. We have not in this practice talked much about the yama and niyama, the first 2 stages. So there are 8 stages. The first 2 are the moral and ethical disciplines of what we should do and what we should not do in our everyday lives. Not that is to be practiced throughout the day in our work and everything. So in that ahimsa and all those topics are there, subjects, disciplines are there. We will take that at some time. But during the meditation session, we go to the 3rd and the 4th one, the asana and the pranayama, or control of the breath. Those 2 are still physical disciplines, how you sit, how you breathe. The remaining 4 steps, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, these are the real mental disciplines, and we are going to talk about them now. So pratyahara means withdrawing the mind, which has a natural tendency to go towards outside objects. You're seeing, hearing and all those things. Always the mind is directed outwards. We want to restrain this outgoing horses of the mind with the strong reins and controlled by the buddhi, in the example that we have discussed on Sunday lectures, using that. And then direct that mind inwards and contemplate on one object of your meditation. As we develop proficiency through practice, the degree of concentration will improve. So it's like having an unbroken concentration on the divine in your heart. Today when you try to meditate, you found that mind tends to run away, and then you suddenly catch it somewhere and bring it back. So there's small periods of concentration and then again gaps and lapses in concentration. What we would like is perfect concentration, and the example given of how there are breaks in concentration is like if you're pouring some oil from one vessel, from a bottle into a cup or something. Initially, there might be drops of oil falling through. So, if the oil is about concentration and the gap is about loss of concentration, so in dharana you will have some concentration and some lapse of concentration. But as you practice, your concentration periods will become more and more increase, and your lapses will become less and less and less. So when it goes to the next stage of dhyana, then it's like a constant stream of oil flowing without any gaps. And when we merge ourselves totally and become one with that object of our meditation, the mind, the meditator and the object of meditation, everything becomes one. That is called samadhi. And then whatever we are trying to meditate on reveals its true nature. This dharana, samadhi together is called samyama. And we can choose any object of contemplation. A scientist might take up the physical world, and that's how in the past knowledge about things were obtained through this concentration of mind. There are so many types of thoughts in our minds. And in the Yoga Sutras, they have classified them in 5 categories. The first one is called Shiptamana, restless mind. Naturally, it doesn't have any degree of concentration, and it is very dull also. When you try to control it, there's absolutely no control on that time, jumping from here to there. And it will show in the physical movement of people also. You'll find when they're very restless, their eyes are moving everywhere, they're listless, the hands, legs are shaking or something like that. That mind and body shows that combination. That type of mind is not very, very conducive to meditation. If you ask such a person to meditate, he might be physically sitting there, but his mind is flying away everywhere. The next category of thoughts is called mudha, the stupefied or engrossed or infatuated mind. It has got stuck with something, mostly with the physical world, with some person or some money or some job or something, and it can't get out of there. So he's sort of a victim to that type of mind. He is engrossed in that, he doesn't like it, but is suffering in that, but he can't get out of it. You'll find sometimes it happens. You're worrying about something you don't want to worry, it makes you feel miserable, but you can't get out of it. Somehow you're stuck into it. That type of mind is also not conducive to meditation because it's too dull, too much tamas is there, it's not able to move out of that state. The third category of mind is vikshiptamana, which is called distracted mind. Now, distracted mind means there's a degree of concentration and there's a degree of lapse in concentration, but at least there is some concentration. This mind is the beginner's mind, good for spiritual contemplation, because there is some control in it, there is some degree of concentration, but again the mind goes. It's the mind of a student who is concentrating on whatever the teacher is teaching, and then suddenly he is going daydreaming. But he again brings it back. That mind can be trained through this regular process to improve the degree, the duration of concentration more and more and more through practice. So that is the mind that is good for a beginner. One is up to that stage. Do not worry that my mind is very, very restless and I sit down to meditate. Of course, you've never tried to meditate. Suddenly you're not going to be yogi overnight like that. But through practice, it can happen. That's a good point. What we want to get is the one-pointed mind called the ekagra, one-pointed. And that is why we prescribe that you will choose one object of your meditation. In the next class, probably we'll go deeper into how this name and form are interrelated. But the goal is that your mind should have developed that type of concentration that wherever you put it, it remains stuck there like super glue, so to say. And when we can eliminate so many various types of thoughts that are there by just holding on to one thought, that is far much better state. But that is not the ideal goal also. The ideal goal is when all the thoughts will be totally removed. It's like a lake without any ripple on the surface, like a sheet of glass. That is called the niruddha, or the mind which is totally arrested. That is the one where we feel that light. There are no things that the mind is seeing. There are no thought waves there. And suddenly it becomes aware of itself as that light of consciousness, separate from the mind, separate from the intellect, from the body. And that is, according to in the Yoga Sutras, that's when the Jiva or the Purusha experience itself as that omniscient, free being that we really are. So, yes, we'll start with this, whatever vikshiptamana, distracted mind, and the goal is through practice, we try to improve the degree of concentration, and as we go deeper and deeper or become better and better in that process, we will realize how it goes. So, two things we have discussed today. One is there are so many types of minds naturally constituted. You will find out, and that also subtly changes in different times of the day. For example, in the morning, you find that mind is very calm and all that. In the daytime, naturally too much rajas comes and you would like to keep on doing something. In the end of the day, you get tired, tamas comes in and you want to take rest and sleep. But some people are naturally constituted in one of those. You'll find them that very calm and peaceful, do not get disturbed by too much what's happening. They are excited by simple things or depressed by certain things happening around. So that type of person, that temperament is nice. We should be careful if we are serious in meditation to manage ourselves well during the day so that these extreme swings are not there. Always be mindful and try to maintain a degree of calmness in the midst of all activities. The test of how good your meditation is, of course, how well you feel that concentration of mind during your meditation. But the real test is how calm you are during your activities. In the midst of activities, can you maintain a greater degree of calmness and stability and balance and poise? That's when this practice morning and evening is empowering you to maintain, be more in control of yourself. So if you find that as you practice your meditation, you don't get angry, you don't get ruffled, you don't get disturbed when things are around, that's very good for you, because then you'll be making the best decisions and acting the best way for yourself. So it will help you in your everyday life. It will help you in the life of the student. He or she will understand the subject matter much quickly because the mind can penetrate through all the information and get the knowledge out of it. If a doctor, you analyze and diagnose your patient very quickly. If an accountant, you'll understand your account books properly. So this mind is the tool that we are using from morning to evening. And if we train it well, you find that this is the Marichka or the calm Dhenu. It will give you all that we want, because when this mind is not properly handled, it becomes a problem. And when it's properly trained, it becomes a source of all joy and knowledge. That's why we practice meditation. But we can also use the same technique in a spiritual sense to discover who we really are. When we are practicing meditation here, the goal is the spiritual goal, but it's the same mind that you will be engaging in your everyday life, and you will find the difference it brings in the quality of your thought processes and ideas there. So, we said after asana and pranayama and praying from others, the next thing we said was withdraw your mind from the outside world. So we'll just discuss about that. Sometimes you find it's difficult to withdraw the mind. You withdraw it for a while and it just goes back again there. So why is this so difficult? You'll find that what we are practicing here and the topics that we are discussing on the Sunday talks, mind management techniques, are all interrelated. And some of those ideas that you hear there will help you understand the processes why we do here. So when we try to say withdraw the mind from something to the divine inside, the mind by nature wants to get the best. Whatever is best, most attractive, most beautiful, that's where it wants to go. So if we are trying to say you should leave those things outside and come inside, then we have to educate the mind that whatever it is seeking for, or the best and the most beautiful thing is not outside but inside. That type of education is what the scriptures give to us. Men who have realized the truth in themselves, they say, yes, things outside are beautiful, but they pale into insignificance when they see the beautiful thing within us, the Atman. Just like at night, the moon is beautiful, but when the sun rises, the moon is no match there. So the enjoyments that are outside, okay, we enjoy various things for a moment only. It's momentary. You eat something, you see something, it's beautiful, but it's not permanent there. You turn around, the beautiful scenery has disappeared from your eyes. But within us is that unadulterated, perfect bliss that is there. Things outside are temporary. They are there today and they are not there tomorrow. Nothing is permanent. But within us, the Atman is eternal and immortal. It doesn't change. So the best thing that is there is our own spiritual self. And when we read the lives of people of realization, that's why we read that again and again, and we get some glimpse of what they experienced. They are trying to communicate, and we get some inspiration and a strong conviction that the real thing to seek for is not out there. What we see out there is just an image of us in the mirror of this world. The beauty, purity, goodness, happiness, joy, peace that we are seeking is within us. So when the mind goes out to things, we educate, hey, what you're seeking for is right, but where you're seeking for is not the best. Let's try here. And in that way, we educate ourselves, we talk ourselves to it and cajole the mind, so to say, come, let's try this out also. Slowly it will begin to awaken to that next experience and say, that was good, that was peaceful, maybe I should do a little bit more. So that's how we should try to not forcefully drag the mind, but like a little child or something, but talk to it and explain to it and say, let's do it in this way, because you have to befriend your mind. You should be your good friend, not by force you're trying to do it through punishment or that's not willing to do. So that's important. Second important thing is to remember this principle that we respond and react to whatever we take to be real for the time being. So if we think that the world is real, then the mind will go to it. That the reality essence in me is a greater reality than the things of the world, then it will leave those smaller things and come to this. For example, in a dream, you are dreaming and you are seeing yourself as a dreamer. You have your identity, different from your everyday identity, doing all things that you would not do. And you are meeting people, talking, eating, and all those things are there. Having good or bad experiences in your dream world. So long you are dreaming, that world, the dreamer and the dream experience is real. It could be a beautiful dream, it could be a nightmare, but you are experiencing that. It's only when you wake up and then you compare the waking experience with the dream experience, that comparison happens, and in that moment it comes to you, you relegate the whole dream experiencer in the dream experience as unreal in one shot, and you don't give any thought to it. You don't worry about some painful thing happened, or suppose a tiger chased you in the dream. You don't get up in the morning and start looking for the tiger. You said that was only in the dream, it's not there anymore. So this comparison between a higher state and a lower state is what helps us diagnose our own error, and we take the truth and leave the falsehood. So when we are trying to say to the mind, leave the outside world, we have to use that same psychology to give it something more beautiful, more real. Then you will find that automatically, naturally it leaves. But if we have not been able to educate it, then it might sit for a while within, and the next moment it jumps out again, because it has become conditioned through so many lifetimes and throughout this lifetime to go out there. So it's not going to immediately jump back. Now, if you try to forcefully drag the mind, you might hold it for a while, but again it jumps out. So today, as a practical means, I will give you a hint or a tip, you can say, in meditation or to do. Keep these few ideas that we talked about today. There are different types of mind, levels of mind. We want a one-pointed mind. That's why we want to focus. We want to withdraw the mind from outside, but the mind tends to go out. So we should analyze the nature of the world and say, they apparently look very good and source of happiness, everything, but the real happiness is within. The more we read and discuss and contemplate on the divine nature and make it more real, the mind automatically will leave the less important things and shift towards it. So when your mind is, we're trying to control or focus the mind, you'll find that sometimes it's better not to drag the mind forcefully. You just watch the mind. So a good practice is you just watch the mind without actively trying to say, come inside, or where you're going in this and that. To give an example, suppose there's a monkey. A monkey is very restless, jumping all over the place. You want to control it. You have tied it to the little rope, to a little peg. Now if you take a little stick and try to force the monkey to be still, the more you show the stick, the more the monkey will jump around. So by force, it makes it more restless. What you can do, the other thing is to do, you just sit down and watch the monkey. The monkey jumps around here a few places, then it will look at you eye to eye for a few seconds. You don't do anything. You just watch it. It will jump again a few times. This time it will sit down for a little longer. If you keep on watching, after some time you'll find that the monkey sits down perfectly still and both of you are looking at it. That way, we exercise that observer part of the mind, the witness, the buddhi, the chariyata, to take more control over the mind. We will discuss this in more detail in tomorrow's talk because it's a bigger subject about the techniques, how the buddhi, the witness part inside us can be awakened, and with that the mind is controlled. But today I've given you a little bit of a glimpse about one practical thing about controlling the mind. So when you try to focus the mind on the divine and suddenly your mind has gone somewhere away, you just simply watch, don't drag it by force or something. Why are you here? What's so interesting here? What is we are trying to contemplate on the most beautiful thing within us, and what is so beautiful about what you are contemplating? And the mind will say, yes, why am I here? Let's go back. In that way, both of you will willingly go within until it develops a taste for that divine company within. Say, this is nice, this is peaceful, this is good, I like to be here. And that mind is then cooperating and helpful. So, watchfulness of mind, mindfulness, we'll talk about that a little later. Let's again go through our meditation session, and I hope that you will sincerely practice this morning and evening. Practice makes perfect. All the theory is not much useful unless we apply it. So let us go through that process once more. Let us meditate. Sit upright, keeping your back, neck and head in a relaxed upright position. Focus on your breath. Inhale and exhale in a relaxed, rhythmic, deep breathing way for 3 times. Let's pray for ourselves, pray for everyone. May the universal consciousness that dwells in the heart of all beings which is of the nature of infinite existence, knowledge, bliss, purity, goodness, and joy, inspire our minds, attracts our minds towards itself. May we all seek the divine within ourselves. May we seek the peace and supreme knowledge within ourselves. May all beings be happy, joyful, and peaceful. Send out your prayers to your right and left, in front and behind, above and below, and in all directions. Now withdraw your mind from the external sense objects and focus it in the center of your heart. Therein visualize a beautiful lotus, fully bloomed, full of freshness, fragrance and beauty. In the center of that lotus, visualize a flame, still like a lamp kept in a windless place, spreading its radiance in all directions, illuminating every cell of your body, every corner of your mind with its divine effulgence. You may replace that flame with any divine form of your choice or your chosen ideal, or the form of Sri Ramakrishna. Visualize that the light emanating from this divine form is the light of knowledge that dispels the darkness of ignorance. It's a light of purity that fills you with holiness. It's a light of bliss that fills you with joy. It's a light of supreme peace that fills you with serenity and tranquility. It's a light of strength that strengthens you physically, emotionally, mentally, morally and spiritually. Feel the divine presence within you, full of grace, eager to shower His blessings on you, to guide and protect you always. Repeat the mantra you are initiated with, or Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaaya Namaha, or simply the Om, as per your choice. Focus your whole mind on the divine, in the spirit of surrender and prayerfulness, and receive that grace that's emanating from Him. The mind wanders away anywhere, gently bring him back in the divine presence. Mrityurma Sargamaya Tamaso Jyotirgamaya Mrityurmamritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. In this way, you will meditate daily, morning and evening, and try to meditate at least for 15 minutes for you to feel the effect of this meditation regularly in a very disciplined way. And we will meet next week to go deeper into the real process of meditation. Tomorrow's class on mind management techniques, I had mentioned that we would have it at 10 o'clock, but we will continue our usual time at 11 o'clock Brisbane time. So we'll discuss the ideas in mind management techniques as it's related to meditation, some of the ideas that we have discussed today. Until then, meditate well, keep safe, and we will see you tomorrow.